Hey everybody, welcome to Field of Dreams on NCBN TT. I'm Steve David and I'm your host. I have a special guest with me tonight and none other than Russ Russell. Welcome to the set, Russ.
Yeah, good day, good day. You're welcome, Trinidad and Tobago.
Russ is the president of the National Football Association. But now that I do, and we invited him to come and talk with us with regards to what's going up or what's going on in the north and his presidency with the NFA. So Russell, barbershop discussion. We still gonna wrap for a little bit, catch up with good old times, and let me know what's happening in your neck of the woods.
Well, in my neck of the woods, as you say, there's the Northern Football League. Well, right now we are going through the process of election, which will be taking place on May the 11th. The changing of the guards, as they say. But really and truly, I have discussion with the TTFF new boss, Mr. Kieran Edwards, on changing the whole scope of zonal football entirely. Not only the Northern Football Association, but all the zones. We have 6 zones, and last year I think we did a zonal football, which was good. All the champions played, which came out kind of good. So it's transformation for me to get the zone, all the zones to play in a long time out to play zonal football, get teams to promoted up and but it will take a lot of work, the grassroots are always kind of left behind. But now that we have a new president, I done whisper in his ears the way forward. If you start from the bottom to go up, it's better for the team on top.
Before I forget, because there's some of my viewers probably saying, "Who's Russ Russell?" And so I can explain, but I wouldn't explain as good as you can. Tell them who Russ Russell is, and I know you defense force and national goalkeeper and all the different things.
Well, I have a lot of ties in coming up. Well, Russ Russell is an ex-national footballer, ex-defense force footballer, ex-defense force soldier. I'm also just a humble guy. During my 10 years a footballer, I think it was great. I played for the national team since under 12, right up to the senior level. I have X amount of caps, which I don't want to discuss right here.
Yeah.
Whole heap. I call myself the hero because I think in football I did human service to the country, meaning that when the kid get the star boys, as I will always say, I seems to get called in. I serve together with people like Maurice, which are called Brow. I serve with Shaka Slap, Clayton Hings, a little bit with Jack, Kelvin Jack, Mukomi, these kind of guys, Hayden Thomas, just to mention a few of the guys. Anthony Clark grew up with me also. Me and he was vying for position from since under 16, straight up to senior level. So there's a lot of things I did in the country that I really stay humble about, but knowing me is knowing one of the greatest, as I would say.
There was no local professional football at that time, or was there?
Well, I came through from the Premier League straight to the Professional League.
Okay.
I was a defense force from 1988 straight onwards to 2014, which, I played my whole career, you could say, with the defense force. I spent 26 years and 31 days in the defense force. After I finished playing, I went on to coaching, which I was relatively successful. But, you had us to move on because retirement did come. Yeah. And I moved on into the, as they say, in the civilian world.
And you never played professional outside of Trinidad and Tobago? You were one of the local guys?
No, I did not. I went on trials at Wrexham for a bit, and then I broke my feet. So I was to retire the game from that point.
Well, that wasn't good, but it was good that you stayed home and keep our core players strong at local level.
Yeah, local level need boosting. I'll say I need boosting a lot now, more
Mm-hmm.
than then when you used to play and when I think I used to play because it was a little more exciting, it was a little more competitive. I also
Mm-hmm.
went a Youth World Cup, which was good in my resume because I went a U17 World Cup together with Anton Cornell, Hudson Charles, just to name a few guys who was with me. I think Anton Conley was the head coach. I was the goalkeeper coach. Hudson Charles was the assistant coach. Mr. Bato was the trainer. Physio was Mr. Taylor, and the manager was Mr. Govaya. We won the 2007 Under 17 World Cup, which was good for the country.
And you've done way more than I thought you did. And you've been around and you around and around. And so it's good that if you can come on board with the new regime, that would help us a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I talked with Q and me, it's simply personal friends. But in business, you have to take care of your own sometimes. I think he will do well because he's open-minded. He's a guy who wants ideas, and I think he's going to the right sources to get his ideas as well. So it's just time will tell with him, and we have to put faith in something. A long time the football has been stagnant because the normal committee was involved and we didn't have really where I could say a leader. Not to say there wasn't leading, but we didn't have our leader that people could go to. It was FIFA controlling our football. Now we have a new guy. We have to give him a little chance. Give him time as well because everything is not a magic one. I just say you have to build the football back to where it was. He have to go from grassroots straight up to the senior level and see how best he could do. He could do his job in his little tenure that he have.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you would ever run for president?
I hope not, because it's a very hard job, and I think I've done a lot already in football. Running for presidency will be just something that I doubt my family will like because it takes a
Takes
lot
a,
of you. It takes a lot of time. People see it as just a job. It's not just a job. It's putting your whole body, your whole life on the line and your family. I think my family is kind of in a area that they want us. They really want me to stop, but for the passion of football, I'm keeping good.
and you don't get paid to do it either.
No.
And maybe it might be more attractive if you get paid, then you could invest your time because you still have to put food on the table.
Yeah, well, I think if I get paid wealthy, I think my family will even bother because they will be taken care of because I take care of my whole family as well. So,
Exactly.
you know, that is something to look forward to.
That is something to look forward to. So let's talk about some of the Northern Football League that you run. Um, how many teams in that league and how the season runs?
Well, the season before runs when it have an opening. Now that the new president, we're trying to get it from maybe June till about August, not August, October, late in November because of
Yeah.
Christmas break. The reason for that is that we want, well, talking with the other presidents, we want the league to start nearly the same time and finish nearly the same time so they could have the zonal champs playing, which will be more fitted for the champion teams to see who's the champion zone, which we didn't have for a long while. I know plenty of the old boys were that to come back because that was like a pride to certain zones. We lost that a little bit. And then national coaches, professional coaches could come and see what the zone have and pick from it. And some of the guys could look forward, especially in the zone, to building themselves, like going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, all the zones I think is stagnant. When you play in the zone, you're just a zonal player. And you don't really have no upliftment until you're really being scouted by somebody.
I think it's good that if Kieran is going to bring you on board to assist coordinating that. But let me tell you some of the back in the day, and that's way before your time, of course. And we did play zonal football, SFL, SFA, POSFL, NFL,
Yeah.
Eastern Football League, all of that. But zonal football all play at the same time. And during this our actual season that we play in games, we play in league football. So you're representing your league, this league against that league. We didn't wait until after the season was over. You play league football in between, and then you divide them in two as well, north, south, and then you pick a north south team, and then you go pick a national team. I thought this was a very good structure, so I'm passing that on in case you. I don't know how you see it. How
No,
would you
well,
see it?
it's seen that the footballers are, we say, advanced. Now it have a professional league, and it have well tier one, tier two,
Mm-hmm.
so and then the zone. So the system you all had is that it had one league
Yes.
across the
Yeah.
board
Exactly.
that had different teams from different area,
Yeah.
like different zone, and they play against one another, and then you get the champion team. So automatically, when you get the champion team, you get the champion zone. Now is a total different. You know, we have a professional league, we have a what they used to call the Super League. So it's tier one, tier two, and now we have zonal football. So the zonal football now is apart from the professional league. The zonal football is more amateur. The tier two is more or less semi-pro league, where preparing it to be a professional in the country. So the structure where you had probably used to work because when you come out from college, you probably will land in one of the teams in your area and you go forward. But now that how the system changed it, I think it will be very difficult to go back to that. Because
Yeah.
a lot of teams that you'll be mashing up and separating and all that stuff. So when thinking about that, that had to be real thought out before it go back to anything like that. I don't think it will go back like that in a hurry.
Well, but you're absolutely right about that. But maybe they make it an amateur league that professional cannot play in it because um, I know that might keep it more competitive or so on. But I don't. I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
You're one step ahead of me, but yeah. So well, so what's the hope then for zone? Not for zone football, for your league. You start your league whenever you get a block that's open,
Yeah.
and you run it for what, 2 or 3 months,
Mainly 4 months.
like
But
right.
that's going to change this year because, what I proposed to the TTFA is that they get more involved because since I've been there for the last 3 and a half, I didn't think the TTFA was involved. We normally just pay, we say, uh, registration fee to be involved with TTFA. But their involvement was never there in my time. Mostly we mainly call them for advice or whatever, but to say they are seriously part and parcel of the zone, it was never like that in my tenure.
Yeah, let's brainstorm for a little bit because I am thinking we have a professional league, but the majority of teams is in one area, kind of, or no, or most north and or in central or south has less teams. But I'm thinking a professional team can come from every area. Anyhow, let me forget. What do you think? Well, how do you think this should be
No,
should
it
really
really
run?
supposed to have more representation,
Yeah.
but here what stopped the representation, the professional league was run by clubs where I will say could afford it, mainly. Because since I was playing, it's about 8 teams in the professional league. You didn't have no demotion, no promotion.
Right.
So you could afford it, you play. So mainly like you could say like Point, like you from Point. You will have 2 teams from Point could afford to come in. So you'll just based on one. So all the good players will come to just that 1 point team. Similarly, might be East, similarly South. Where in Port of Spain now might have about 5 teams that could afford it. So that is where well, as you will say, the vastness will come in. That more teams will come from the north or from the town area than from the south because of financial strain. Now, if you get the structure to run properly, where that it have demotion and promotion, teams will come from all about. If you have good teams in the south, they'll get themselves promoted because they'll go through the period like the playoffs and all that, just like in all the bigger countries that play football. So you wouldn't really have no biasness to say, well, North are the most team, South are the most team, Tobago are the team. It would be just that you have to go through the process to reach. So if you want to put a good team, you put it out there and slug it.
Well, like the entire South now, from San Fernando all the way to Cedros, there is one league, SFA.
Yeah.
And we should have SFL as well. So I think that needs to strengthen. We need to bring SFL back. Maybe I could become president. Who knows, man? Even though I'm not going to run for any presidency. But somehow I feel Trinidad football should make sure they have two teams in the South, SFL and SFA, which would form one South team. And then they could have the East, and they could have the North, and they can have the Central, and they can have Tobago, and we can get a lot more football playing.
Yeah. Well, it's a good idea. I think representation is the key to success. You know, and probably you can represent South area by general call. You know, you have this program is a very good program. It's watch all over. Mm-hmm. So you know, you can use your program to promote that and see who listens. You know, because there's only listeners could go forward and do the job. I think football should rise coming up, you know, because we have a lot going on. I think Kieran have a lot on his plate to do because, you know, people are starving for the national team to, where I say, reach the position that Jamaica is in. Because in your times and my times, you know, Jamaica was our rivalry, but we always come up on top. Right now, we going up against Jamaica is like we going up against USA in thought. You know, nothing really, in my eyesight, I think we can match them anytime. But in the thought process, when you watch the Jamaican team, the guys that they have on the team is way above our guys. The countries that they're playing, most of the guys play in the Premier League. We have guys playing in the lower division. Some of them might be pros, but it's not leagues that we know about or we watch. You know, it's leagues that, you know, you get a contract and you play. We need to get guys back into the Premier League. You know, we need to really do plenty of work to get our numbers. And I think the reason for that is that we dropped in ranking very far. And I think Coach Angus is building it back a little bit with the kind of wins he get. I think he beat some of the CONCACAF teams. And that will only do for our ranking, really. Do good for our ranking.
Okay, let's take a break. When you come back, I want you to expand on that a little bit more for me. All right. Viewers will be right back after the short break.
Stay calm, be cool.
Trinbago Heritage, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on NCBN TT Television Network.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. For the ones now tuning in, you're looking at Field of Dreams on NCBN TT. I'm Steve David, your host of Field of Dreams, and I have my guest today is Russ Russell from the Northern Football League. The Northern Football League or Northern Football Association?
Yeah, Northern Football Association.
Northern Football Association. Yeah, Russ. Before the break, you were talking. Talking about our position and how we kind of taking a step back and where we used to be. And I want to expand on some of that a little bit. Let's talk about some of that a little bit. How we can get up to where we was before.
No, well, first we have to do a whole retrospect inspection on ourselves. Where we was, why we was there, and then we could move forward. I think right now we on quick fix entirely because we doing like the rest of countries. We looking outside before inside. First, we had to get the best local players, which I think Coach Angus is trying. He does hold camps with them. The teams had to really take part, the professional teams that is, because I think that the pool leaders pick from locally. We had to get the guys up fit. We had to take responsibility for our action in preparing the players that Coach Angus get. And then when he go outside, he could pick from whoever. If we have a good core here, like we usually do, then it's very difficult for guys from out there to come in. What happened now is that guys from out there that's coming in, playing, they really don't know the country as well, but they get easy pick because when we came out of the COVID, or whatever they call it, what we did, we was on quick fix because the guys out there was playing and the guys here wasn't playing. But now that the league is running, I think the guys are getting fitter, they're getting better. But we as local coaches still have to do our job by preparing them a little better, especially if you have a special player. You have to make sure that you know that he's the one to take the club somewhere, because buying and selling, we don't see it like vital in Trinidad, but it's vital for the club's survival. I know where we'll go with that. But we need to get the team back to where it was before. And you know that too as well, Steve.
I hope I do, but I don't think I can. But let me pick your brain a little bit on this one. You said we should get the best players that we have, but from my perspective, from my thinking, I don't think we can get the best players around the country if we have one person picking it or the national coach selecting his players to come. And I'm old timer. Don't forget I'm old timer.
Yeah, I know.
And back in the day, we used to have a selection committee from the east, north, south, west, central, whatever, and they like eyes, and maybe they do have it now. Eyes looking at players, and then they come in one big pool and they argue about to get their players in the squad, and so it comes up to a vote. I guess I don't know, but and that's how they used to select players.
No, well, it's something that I did a scope of the U.S. how they pick the team. What they do is like before thing they have like a Project 40, where like you pick the best players in the country or the best selected players from all the teams, whatever, and then you run a screening before they enter into like a training camp for the national team. I don't know if that will work, but that is what the US normally do. They have the international players, of course, but locally, the players that plays local, they goes into camp ever so often, train, and then the coach select the best of the players. I think that is something like what you all had a long time, where all the zone will play a zonal game or have a zonal trials, and then you get the best out of the zones into the national pool. I think that way is happened a long time. In my times, what we used to do is like, you have at junior level, we have the college league, which will attract the best players. And you pick these players early out of the thing because you used to have like a 2-year span. And what we used to do is like take up the players from the college, with the star boys as we call ourselves, and go into the rural areas and play. So like you go on Miaro bring out the best thing. You may see a player that, all right, he stand up to the test. So you bring him on board and you keep going around the country till you relatively get the best of the players. And then you have guys like yourself and, well, I know that guys in the north who goes and watch footballs and who have the international experience to say, well, I could bring this guy on board, have a look at him, because sometimes in the whole screening process, you do miss guys. Because I know for a fact that some guys don't really play good in screening.
Right.
But if you go and watch them play with the home team, they're dynamite. And sometimes that's where you miss them because we all like to say, well, come to the screening. And this guy, custom, he's shy, whatever. He didn't stand out. But 2 months down the road, you watch him in a game and you say, wow, how I missed him. By that time, it might be too late. You don't select a team. You don't prepare him to go, to bring him in. Could be like, impossible right at the time because, at international level, you have to send a teams about some months before, a year before. You have a pool of players that you have picked from, so you might miss him. So I think we have to really go back, as you said, to the selection committee. That I think last 3 years, I think it had one. I don't know how effective it was, but it had one where we're selecting players, even foreign players, for the head coach. If we could go back to that, because the head coach cannot see everything. He cannot really scout everybody, so he will miss. So if every zone have a scouting panel and they come together, it's up to him to pick it after. You can't force him to pick who you don't want to pick. You can only bring it to the table. So that way you wouldn't miss.
The US has National Football Academy, and they have it in different parts of the country.
Yeah.
And they send the players in, and you could see the development. So, but we don't have that. So, but I think we can do something like that. We could have a football academy in the north, a football academy in the south. I'll be happy to.
One in Tobago, don't forget Tobago.
And Tobago.
Right.
Sorry about that.
I'm a kind of Ghanaian too.
Sorry, Tobago. Yeah.
So don't forget.
I know, and we always do that. We forget Tobago.
Yeah, don't forget Tobago.
Yeah.
Much
But I mean, like again, my time. I'm going to give you some experience. Let you hear some experience in my time. Is because when you're playing league football, is the best in that league makes a team, especially when you're playing during the regular season and you have one league game every week, every week we used to have one league game playing. So when you're doing that, your players come in and out of the team. You have to make the league team. So you can see players don't fall off the radar. If they're really good, they will be a shoe-in on the league team. And they play against each other and so on. So that's why I think league football is a good thing.
A good base,
makes to select the national players, and because this is the first step towards national, make the league team, and then after the second step would be to make the south team or the north team.
I think they have to bring back that in at zonal level first. And then, because the Pro League is apart from zone football right now. So to say you have a zone league, or like people representing the zone, if you do bring out that, then you'll have a bigger multitude of players from town side than from south, or from central, and from Tobago. Because they will already have the best of the players playing with one Pro League team. If you understand me. Because if I am a player and I play from South, I'll play at Club Sando. If I'm from Point, I'll play Civic Center. If I'm from the East, I'll play Lauta Rangers. If I'm from Town, I have Police, I have Defense Force, I have AC Port of Spain. So you have a bigger pool in Port of Spain than from the rest of the country. What could happen is that, why I was suggesting some time ago is that when you do zonal football, you represent the area you're from. instead of the team effort. So we'll have South Zone playing. So all the people from South Zone who lives in South play with South Zone. So that means you shuffle up the pack a little bit. Because it have some players that live South but plays in North. If you understand me.
I did
so
that.
if you have a South team, they represent North Zone. Because they play in the North Zone and the teams from North Zone. So if you do it like that, when you come, like if you run off a zonal football, you'll get the best from South, the best from East, the best from Tobago. So no matter who team you're playing with, they're representing your zone. So I live in Diego Martin, I represent North. Whether if I played Club Sand or not. And it will bring it back neutral, zonal-wise, not club-wise. Club-wise, clubs still have to see about themselves. But when you're playing zonal football, play where you live. And easily. You get a more balanced, balanced team. So the zone football will be more excited because if I'm from South and I know like Steve David from South, but he plays Port of Spain and he come back home to play for South, it will be a little more exciting for me as a supporter.
Right.
Because I would like Mr. David to play North Zone football against South. And next thing, North beating South and thing, is a conflict of interest. So if you're playing zonal football at the professional level, I think I feel you should play where you live in. That's just my suggestion, to play the football. Nice.
I don't think we could do it with the pro teams
alone.
And unless, I think the pro teams need to go to like a Caribbean league for professional football. And our local football should be local football with the zones.
Yeah, well, I was heading for because that is why I wanted all the zones to start at the same time, so that we could come back to the zone football. I know tier 1 and tier 2, they are taking care of themselves because they play a lot more football than zone football. What we have to try is to strengthen the zone football so it could be a booster for the other zones, the other leagues. So if zone football is exciting, the Super League will be excited. The professional league will be excited because they have stages.
Yeah.
So a player could leave, but it's a work in progress, as I say, and I think these zone presidents have the work cut out. I just put it on the table, and I will see where it go from there.
I don't think we have enough professionals in this country, and I mean professional, what I know professional football is, to have a professional league, unless we have people from the other islands coming in and playing like one time we used to have it.
Yeah.
But now it's so watered down, and some of the players who I can't say they're not worth it, but I don't know how they feel they're worth so much, and they're not concentrating on being a good player, and they're concentrating on how much money they can make, and they jump from team to team to team, whoever offered them $2 more. Which is so, I look at it and like, are you serious? Do you really care about doing this? So unless they put a cap and all that, there's so much to do, and there's so much confusion in football, man. What do you think about how we can settle that down?
No, well, we have to find a model or a mold, as I should say, to govern down the football. What I see in the local football is that you could leave anytime and go to anybody anytime. It have no price tag on your head. Like in Europe, if you have to get a player from Real Madrid to go to Barcelona, there is a price tag.
Right.
So it have a block. You can pay or you can't pay. In Trinidad,
you just go.
Yeah, you sign some of the teams don't even sign contract. So you can leave anytime you want. The season done, you don't even get paid. So like if the season finishing this month, it have a lot of 3 months. You're free to do what you want. That I don't think that is professional enough. Right. If you sign a deal for 2 years, you get paid for the 2 years. If you had to breach that, somebody have to pay the club some bit of money for your rest of your contract that they sign. You know, and if we don't get that into the professional league, then you can't call it a professional league. Some of the clubs here don't even have a home. Little Jamaica, every team is playing at home and away. And when I say at home, so they can make income. I relatively don't see clubs here making an income because today you play at Easley Crawford, tomorrow you play at Polish Brags, the next day you play at Laughter, next day you play in Rima Velodrome, where your fans could say there is home. Where your fans we have a home game, we go into this stadium. The only team probably have that is Laughter Rangers. And, well, Police and the Police Barrel. And, Civic Center. Well, I know you're in one league on Civic Center. But there is home. That is your home.
But it is run by the TTFA, which is ridiculous.
Bad. Which is bad. Well,
yeah.
I think the clubs have to get together and change that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the TTFA should be running local football. It's supposed to have a body running local football. The TTFA is supposed to be the fathers where they give advice if they see things going wrong. Because for a club to pay anybody your money, they have to make money. So if at the point in time I think TTFA is picking up the gates, how is the club being functioning?
Right.
So you have to depend on corporate sponsors to sponsor your club. And where is these corporate sponsors getting back? Advertisement. Sometimes it might work, sometimes it won't. But the club itself, how do they function? How do you pay your staff? How do you do this? Right now, I think is the TTFA paying the club's fee. How long that will last? If you understand. I think FIFA is helping them out, but how long will that last? The club had to get some stability after they are home. Well, we see teams, about 4 teams have it already. The rest of the teams have to find a home. Whether if they lease out a stadium, they lease out the Velodrome, they lease out a playing field and buy it wrong. So when you come to that ground, that is home. Right? I think they have a nice stadium in Diego Martin. I'm trying feverishly to get it under my wing, not really own it, but some sort of way that I could use it so I could develop a team in Diego Martin so they could call Diego Martin, whatever, home. So we have to play in the stadium. That's why I told them. In order for, because I guess several approach to do it, if I have to help my area, we have to play in our area. We have to control our own demise, where we go, how we do it. When we say we play at home, we can't play in National Stadium. That is not home for me. If I have a Diego Martin team, home is home. I think Civic is in the right zone because home is home for Civic. Laughter is in the right zone, but home is home for Laughter. Police is in the right zone because home is home for Police. The other teams have to get on board. And whatever it takes leasing out some way that you could play, that you're comfortable with, that you feel is decent. And that's the next thing I wish we could have talked about, but I know we have enough time for that. That's the next topic by itself.
Let's take a break.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we iron that out. Viewers will be right back after the short break.
Trinbago Heritage, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on NCBN TT Television Network.
Hi, I am Nigel. Quote Me Today is your daily motivational segment to start your day right. Join me Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. right here on NCBN. Remember, wake up with a smile. Today is your day.
Strain. That's why when we festin', we just bed tight when we jammin', we just jam down when we drinking, man it's strong rum, hey. Pop a bottle right now when we festin', we just bed tight when we jammin', we just jam down when we drinking, man it's strong rum, hey. Pop a bottle, push up your hand.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. Rush, but this time is going by so quick that there's so much to talk about. But you were talking about the grounds, right? And we know that's an issue. And we talk about so many grounds that now it becomes back to force again because our government or not the government so much, but companies, not companies again, um, like petrol went down, and 5 grounds grew back to be forest, to be forested, and so on. So, how are we going to solve that problem, ground problem?
No, well, we still go back to the teams having their own grounds. I think when you have your own grounds, you'll have a little more pride in it. You will take care to suit you and your team, and you'll get a daily complaint. But if you take a team and tell them play at the national stadium, I don't think you have the authority or the, we could say, the managing skills to go in there and just prepare the ground for yourself. Them already have a staff, so they are putting you somewhere that you have no control over.
So, what do you do in the NFL?
In the NFL, well, I was trying to really get teams to man up and take care of grounds. I think it have about 3 teams that have grounds. It have Patna, Rest State have their grounds. It have Laventille have their grounds. I think it's some other team. Well, St. Francois and Belmont. You usually play in the Savannah. We didn't play the last season we had because the ground was managed by the same thing, managed by the corporation, which wasn't cut and which wasn't thing. It had a team from center and front line. They play at the president ground. They were taking care of their own ground. So it's just boiled down to getting your grounds and getting it listed so that you could see what your own business. Then you have to rely on somebody else to see it. Because sometimes you reach, even at professional level, you should know, Steve, that you reach at the ground and it's not even prepared properly, not to your likeness. And the home team is totally lost as well because they reach the same time that the TTFA give them to come. Yeah, 2 hours before the game. So by the time you reach 2 hours before the game, if a ground not mark it, nothing, you lost the game by default and it's not really your fault. But you have to take responsibility. When I used to coach, like if I play in at the national stadium, to say, which is closer to the defense force, what I used to do is send out somebody there early. So like the equipment man, he will reach from 10 o'clock in the morning. So he could relate to if the ground mark, if the ground thing, so we could put it in place for ourselves. We professional football, I think in this part of the life, I wouldn't say in Trinidad alone, in the Caribbean, we take things for granted. In professional football, well, like I say in Jamaica, they don't take things for granted. They prepare properly. Yeah. So when the players reach and the staff reach, it's just the game that are studying. You as administrator, sometimes when they are game, your head hot because this ground in Mark, that ground in this, that. Not supposed to be like that. And so during the week, you have a game Saturday, Thursday, your ground then prepared. You don't tell them, well, all right, if you had to wet it, if you had to do this, if you had to mark it, if you had to, you know, it's real funny for we to see that we are professional establishment when we really not doing the professional thing. Because I was listening to a documentary. The morning of our game, there is so much work that they do in Spain that even the police officers, even they have to map out areas for the crowd to come. They are visiting crowd. How the team arrive, what time they arrive. In Trinidad, you watch how the players arrive. The players don't come together for certain teams. They come, hick knock as we call it. A guy come now, and next guy come. That have to change. It was going in the right direction when it had professionally under Dexter Skin and them, where it was like teams have to come on bus, teams have to come to the ground at a certain time, that people monitoring that. Even the match commissioner used to come to make sure that your team already there. But I think it fall off a little bit. I don't know if it's the COVID and the normalization committee not asking for help or like for advice to run TNT football. But it have to go back to where we take things a little more serious. You know, we don't want to manage ourselves, I should say. We want handouts. You know, a sponsor must do this. And then you might tell the sponsor that they are wrong for you. And you're not going and look for your avenues to succeed. And we might watch at the HEM, which is the national senior team, and blame Mr. Anglesey. But when you talk about his support system, it's not even right. Because who could call to get advice when my house not in order, your house not in order. So if my house not in order as well, why should I call you when you can't see about your own business? And that is where we lacking. We had to start managing ourselves because in Germany, Spain, and I think the head coach could talk to any one of the gaffers out there and get advice because he could say like in Germany, you have top teams that you could call and say, well, you know, I need so and so thing, and they can lend it to you. If you check our national coach in the Caribbean, who can you go to? You had to go outside, mainly, to get advice or to get help. Locally, you don't really have nothing to tap into as much. You don't have the funding to tap into. So it's very difficult, you know. And being a national coach as well, you know, sometimes you just don't know what corner to turn. You just have to keep motivating yourself to keep going because sometimes the people want a lot, but you don't have a lot to work with. So it takes a lot.
You know, they say the more things change, the more they remain the same. And they used to have Queen's Park Savannah as a ground that the whole league would run into that because they have enough space for every team to have a ground actually. So, and that is not used anymore, right?
No. Well, it part to blame with the, well, I could say administration-wise, because I administrate, and I really didn't put no game there because of how we get the facilities run down, the goalpost thing, and there's a lot of work to really get somebody in because I think the Northern Football League is, I don't know if the rest of the zone is run by by you going out to get sponsorship to help you. It's not run by no organization where you say have a whole heap of money to pour them. And plus, long time, each ground was named by a club. So it had Malvern, Maple, Queen's Park, St. Francois, and all the different teams' own ground. So you could have hold it to them to see about the grounds. So now the manager, Malvern, will call the corporation, you have to cut the field, everything. Now what is the clubs are saying now is dependent on the zone to do that, which is I think is a lot of work on the zone. Because you're supposed to manage football, not take care of clubs, ground and all that. And in my little tenure, I was trying to get back that, but the clubs was a little hard to get going. And it had clubs that had a team, so we just played on the grounds that was available, mainly, and see how best we could go with that. But I think it will change. You know, it have a new, younger regime that, you know, I will always keep giving advice. You know, although I'm not going back up for the presidency because I think my family deserve my time right now. So it's a very difficult time. It's very hard to really say that I don't want to be involved in football, which I think will come in right now. You know, I'll still be involved because I love coaching. I love being part of the game. So it will always be there, you know, but certain things you have to let go because how it is run, you know. Probably I will come back again when I'm more equipped to do the job better or when there's more things for I to use to get the job because it's very difficult to watch the state of football. And you will know that too because from your time to now, you see a drastic decrease in whether it's the skill, whether it's the how they prepare the ground, whether it's referee and wherever you think. I think it rock bottom. So I think it's time for me to lift. You know, we have a new executive on board. I know you will help him and I will help him and the football people will help him because he's young and I think he's a spicy guy. He likes to see nice things. He likes to do nice things. So I think we are heading in the right direction. It's just for us to not sit down and watch him, but to help him.
I think we could go down this road to finish this show today, but I think let's do some brainstorming for the president in a way, giving some advice or it's online on the show as to what do you think would happen. I should say, because I foresee him being the president for another 20 years, man. And because he's a young boy, and I hope something like that happens, that he make this something real special.
Sure.
So first, like we said, the national team. The national team is the yardstick to measure his success. And do you see much changes happening?
Yeah, I think it will have changes, you know, because I think he will give the head coach all the support he needs. I think the head coach have to sit down with him and say what he needs. And I think he have to go out there and source it for him in order for the national team because, you know, he'll be mainly judged by the national teams, whether if it's women team, futsal, beach soccer, the works. If they are successful, then the association is successful.
But looking at I always look at the trail ahead of me. I look way ahead of me when I'm going into any venture. And looking at what is done in the past, now looking back, is like every new president go and select a new coach or a new technical director or a new whatever, but they always change it. It's like nothing is continuous. So, and I can't say for sure things gonna stay the same. And do I want it to stay the same? Maybe, maybe not. But I want to see progress. And so it's like him planning for the technical staff and this. I think a committee has to help him with all these things, and he just has to control that committee.
Well, I think you headed along the right path, but there's first I think I know you have to do a holistic approach of the whole thing. You have to investigate the TTFA on a whole scape, which he's doing, I think, right now. You know, he had to find out who on contract, not on contract, and then he will have to sort it out. I don't think if somebody is doing a good job, I don't think Kieran will like
Right.
the guy,
Right.
which you are talking about. You know, it's fine time. You know, I think people before him came in with a little. I was trying to find the right
Ego.
word. With egos on the shoulder, with guys who that they will think that not supposed to be there, and they wasn't really watching that if you're doing a good job or not, because it have a lot that could be going to a president. When you are president of anything, you have to watch who doing good and who doing bad, and see if the good could remain under you, and if the bad could improve. If the bad can improve, then the bad have to go, and the good have to stay, and keep doing good. Because, you know, I like to say something. You don't watch the person, you watch what they're doing. So don't watch my personality and my thing. Watch the success I bring in towards the organization,
The result.
the result. So, as I just used to tell them in the board, once we're doing good, it will level off everything else. Because I always see you for what you're doing good.
Right. And that's what I don't like right now. If you get a job as your head coach, you bring your partner. Like the young people say, your partner to eat their food.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, what is this? And that's why I so love selection committees, because there is no friend involved, and if you didn't do it, you go.
Yeah.
And most of the coaches or what do you call it, people in charge of certain things, that don't have the guts to say, hey, you're not doing a good job, I gotta find somebody else. I think it's more a lot of friendship than anything else.
Yeah, well, you know, I think the election is run by friendship. Yeah, you didn't nail on the head, you know. But I think Kieran is like that, because I think he wants to be successful.
Right.
So I think getting the right advice is key to his success.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to listen to people who know about it, who done it, and run with it. You know, I think hire and fire is not the way to go fully, where there have to be some firing,
right,
and some hiring, but it's not your first demeanor to get rid of somebody because you're new and you have to get rid of them. You know, you have to, as you say, rally out the punches.
Right. Well, we got 1 minute left. Any parting words?
I would just like to say, you know, thanks for being here. I know you'll invite me again because we have a lot of talk to talk again.
Definitely.
But, you know, it's been a treat being here, especially talking to the great Steve David, you know. It's not everybody gets to talk to you ever so often on football. I know he's a busy guy. And I'd like to wish you all the kudos in your game coming up, your tournament. You know, I hope you do well, financially as well. You know, but I know the teams that you pick is fun teams.
To be honest with you, but I didn't even make a penny or try to make a penny off of football. I made that already.
Okay.
I don't try to make any more. I just try to help and give back to the community. But I want to thank you for being here as well. But I am so glad that you come this morning tonight to talk to us. I really appreciate it, and good luck in your venture going forward.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Viewers, thank you for tuning in every Tuesday night at 8. We do appreciate you as well. NCBN TT, thanks for the opportunity to bring the show to our viewers. And we do have a Facebook page where you can check us out. And we do have an email address, fieldofdreamstt@gmail.com, where you can drop us a line. This show has ended. Go in peace. I'm Steve David. This is Russell, good night.
Good night, viewers.